Hey, you're Ethan Carter, right? Her voice came from behind me while I was trying to fix the jammed vending machine. I turned and almost forgot how to breathe. Leela Brooks' golden hair, confident smile. The kind of girl who looked like she belonged in another world. Yeah, I said, awkwardly wiping my hands. Sorry, this thing just ate my last dollar. She laughed, a sound so light it made the hall feel brighter. Let me guess you were after the chocolate bar. Guilty. She bent, tapped the side of the machine, and somehow the candy dropped. Guess it just needed a gentle touch. Or maybe it listens to you, I said, before my brain could stop my mouth. Her grin widened. You're funny, Ethan. No one ever said that to me before. We walked out together, her heels clicking softly. You're new here, right? She asked. Second week. Still trying not to get lost between the library and the cafeteria? Then you're in luck, she said, looping her arm through mine like it was the most natural thing in the world. I'm the unofficial tour guide for Lost Souls, I laughed, trying to act normal while my heart raced. Do you always rescue strangers? Only the ones who look like they could use a friend. Something in the way she said it felt kind. Real. At lunch, she sat across from me. Her friends whispered and giggled, but she didn't care. So what's your major? Computer science. Boring, I know. Not boring, she said, chewing thoughtfully. Smart is kind of attractive. I almost dropped my drink. You think so? Totally, she said. I like people who build things. Most guys here just talk. I smiled. I build bad code and drink cheap coffee. That count? She laughed again, and for a second I forgot that girls like her didn't talk to guys like me after class. She found me sitting under the old oak tree. You always sit here alone? Mostly. Easier to think when no one's around. She sat beside me. You think too much, Ethan. How do you know? Your eyes. They look like they're always carrying something heavy. I looked down, embarrassed. Maybe life hasn't exactly been light. Then let me help you carry it, she said softly. That line stuck with me all day. No one had ever said something like that. We started spending more time together, late-night coffee runs, quiet study sessions, random walks. She'd tell me stories about her parents' parties and her dreams of becoming a writer. I'd tell her about my small town, how my mom worked 2 jobs, how I wanted to make something of myself. One night she said, "You're different, Ethan." Different how? You listen. You don't just wait to talk. I guess that's because I don't get talked too much. She smiled, then looked straight into my eyes. You do now. Something in me shifted then. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that maybe I wasn't invisible anymore. When she took my hand, it felt like the world stopped spinning. You trust people too easily, she whispered. Is that a bad thing? It's sweet, she said. Dangerous, but sweet. Her words echoed in my head long after she left. That night, Noah, my roommate, raised an eyebrow. You and Leela Brooks. Dude. She's like campus royalty. She's just a person, I said, smiling to myself. A really amazing one, he laughed. Careful, man. Girls like her don't just fall for guys like us. Maybe he was right. But as I looked at the text she'd sent, had fun today. Let's do it again. I couldn't stop smiling. For the first time in years, I felt seen, important, wanted. I didn't know it yet, but that feeling, the warmth, the hope, the miracle of being noticed was the first spark of the fire that would burn everything I knew to ashes. Ethan, you're impossible, Lila laughed, brushing whipped cream from her lip. Who drinks black coffee with dessert? I'm a programmer, I said. Bitterness keeps us alive. She laughed harder. You're ridiculous. Maybe, I said, smiling. But you like ridiculous. She tilted her head. Yeah, maybe I do. That night was perfect. The lights were soft, the music quiet. I remember thinking, this must be what real love feels like. You ever wonder why I like you? She asked suddenly. All the time, I said. I still think it's a glitch in the universe. Maybe I like fixing broken things, she said. I'm not broken. Didn't say you were, she replied, eyes lowering. Just different. Different. I liked that word. It made me believe I was special. We talked for hours about dreams, fears, everything in between. When she leaned over the table and said, "You make me feel real," I believed her. I shouldn't have. A week later, I went to the same cafe alone. She said she had plans with Clara. I didn't mind. I trusted her. The place was crowded, and I took a seat near the corner. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but when I heard my name, my head snapped up. Clara Hayes sat 2 tables away, phone pressed to her ear. Her voice was sharp, careless. "Yeah, she's almost done with it." Poor Ethan still has no clue. Done with what? She laughed, loud and cruel. "Of course it's a bet. Mason started it. Said she couldn't make the geek fall for her. But you know Lila, she never loses." My stomach twisted. My heartbeat pounded so hard I thought people could hear it. "Yeah. She says she actually likes him now," Clara went on. "But whatever. Once the bet's over, she'll move on. He'll be fine." I didn't hear the rest. I just sat there, frozen. The words looped in my head. Bet. Make the geek fall for her. It felt like a punch straight to my chest. My coffee went cold. My hands trembled. I wanted to walk up to her table, scream, demand the truth, but I couldn't move. When Clara left, I followed her out, my legs shaking. Rain had started falling, light but steady. I called Leela. "Hey," she answered cheerfully. "I was just thinking about you. Where are you?" I asked home, why. "You with Clara?" "Yeah, she just left." "Why?" "You're lying." There was silence. "Ethan, what's going on?" "I heard her," I said quietly. "At the cafe." "The bet." Her breath caught. Then she said too quickly, "It's not what you think."
Al?
"Then what is it, Lila? Tell me I'm wrong." It started as a joke, okay?" Mason said, "Don't say his name," I snapped. "You used me for fun? Was any of it real?" "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said, voice cracking. "At first it was a dare, but then what?" "I fell for you, Ethan. I swear I did." "You fell for me while betting on me?" "You don't understand," she pleaded. "They all said I couldn't do it. I just wanted to prove them wrong. But you changed things." "No," I whispered. "You just changed masks." She started crying. "Please don't hang up. Let me explain."
What?
"I trusted you," I said. "You made me believe I mattered." "You do?" she shouted. "You still do?" "Not to you." The rain got heavier, drowning her voice as I ended the call. I walked without knowing where I was going. My shoes soaked, my heart numb. Every streetlight felt like a reminder of how blind I'd been. I remembered every touch, every laugh, every "I love you," and realized each one had been rehearsed. When I reached my dorm, Noah opened the door. "Dude, you look like hell." "What happened?" "She never loved me," I said, my voice breaking. "It was all a bet."
What?
He froze. "What, Lila?" I nodded, collapsing onto the chair. I heard Clara say it. "They laughed about it." Noah clenched his fists. "Those people are trash. Forget them." "I can't," I whispered, because I meant every word. "And she just played me." He put a hand on my shoulder. "Then don't let her win. Don't let them define you." But all I could think was, I wasn't a person to her. I was a game in Game's End, only I was the one who broke. I didn't sleep that night. Her words kept echoing in my head. It started as a joke. By morning, I'd stopped shaking and started burning. I went straight to her apartment, still soaked from the rain. She opened the door, eyes widening. "Ethan, what are you?" I pushed past her. "I need to see it." "See what?" "The chat, Lila. The messages." Her lips trembled. "You don't have to. I need to," I said. "You owe me that much." She hesitated, then grabbed her phone. Her fingers shook as she scrolled. I snatched it before she could change her mind. The screen glared back at me. Screenshots, laughing emojis, Mason's name at the top. "Mason, told you he'd fall first. Clara, Girl, you're killing it. Poor guy actually thinks it's love. Lila, stop. He's sweet. Mason, don't tell me you're catching feelings. I stopped reading. My chest felt hollow. You kept them, I said quietly. You actually kept them. She covered her face. I didn't know how to delete it. I couldn't. I dropped the phone on her couch like it was poison. You lied every single day. Every word, every look fake. Ethan, please, she said, stepping closer. It wasn't fake to me anymore. I swear it changed. I laughed bitterly. What? Somewhere between the jokes and the screenshots? Tears streamed down her face. I didn't mean for it to happen. Mason dared me. He said I don't care what Mason said. I shouted, You had a choice, Lila. You chose to use me. She flinched. I didn't know you'd take it this seriously. It hit harder than anything. This seriously? I whispered. You were my whole world. She reached out, but I stepped back. Don't, I said. Just don't. Ethan, I love you, she said, voice cracking. I do. Stop lying. I'm not, then tell me, I said. When did you start loving me? Before or after you won the bet? She broke down, shaking. I don't know, exactly. Silence filled the room, heavy and suffocating. I looked around the pictures on her wall. The perfume in the air, everything that once felt warm now felt sickening. I trusted you, I whispered. You were supposed to be different, she sobbed. I was stupid. I thought it was harmless. Harmless, I said. You made me believe I mattered. You do matter. Not to you. I walked to the door. She followed, grabbing my arm. Ethan, please don't leave like this. Tell me one thing, I said, turning. When you kissed me the first time, was that part of the bet too? She froze. That silence was my answer. I pulled my arm free and walked out. Rain hit my face as soon as I stepped outside. It felt like the sky was crying for me, because I couldn't. I kept walking. I didn't care where I went. Streets, puddles, lights, all blurred into noise. Every step felt heavier. My hands wouldn't stop shaking by the time I reached my dorm. I was drenched, freezing, and empty. Noah looked up from his desk. Ethan? Jesus. Man, what happened? She laughed, I said quietly. When I asked about it, she laughed. He frowned. Lila, I nodded, sitting on the floor. It was real to me, Noah. Every word. Every damn moment. He knelt beside me. You've got to let it go. Can't. It's like she ripped something out of me. He sighed. People like her don't understand what love means. I stared at the wall. Maybe I don't either. He didn't say anything after that. Just sat beside me while the rain hit the window like a heartbeat. Hours passed. I didn't eat, didn't move. My mind kept replaying it, her face, her words, that silence. By the third day, I stopped checking my phone. I couldn't look at her messages. Couldn't stand the notifications lighting up like ghosts. It wasn't heartbreak anymore. It was collapse, slow, quiet, invisible. When I finally spoke again, my voice didn't sound like mine. She said it started as a joke, I murmured. But it ended as my undoing. Noah looked at me, worried. You'll get through it, man. I wanted to believe him. But as I lay in the dark that night, I knew something inside me had broken for good, and there's no bet in the world worth winning. If the prize is someone's soul. Noah, I can't do this anymore, I muttered, staring at the half-eaten sandwich on my tray. The cafeteria buzzed around us, but I felt miles away from everyone. He leaned forward, eyes sharp. You can die over her, or you can make her regret losing you, laughed weakly. You make it sound easy. It's not easy, he said, but it's possible. You've already hit rock bottom, Ethan. The only way left is up. I looked at him, really looked. Noah wasn't pitying me. He was challenging me. And what if I can't? Then you'll stay here in this mess, watching her move on while you rot. His words cut deeper than I expected. You don't get it, I said, voice cracking. She made me believe I mattered. And now I can't even look at myself without hating what I see. Then change what you see, he shot back. You're not broken, man. You're angry. Use it. I clenched my jaw. Anger doesn't fix anything. No, he said quietly, but it builds something new if you let it. I didn't respond. I just stared at the table, at the faint reflection of a guy I barely recognized, pale, hollow, exhausted. The version of me who believed in love had died in that cafe that night. I stood in front of my mirror. My reflection stared back, tired and fragile. Look at you, I whispered. Pathetic. My dorm smelled like old coffee and regret. I opened the drawer where I kept everything, her photos, her letters, the bracelet she'd given me at the carnival. My fingers trembled as I pulled them out one by one. Her smile in those pictures used to feel like sunlight. Now it felt poisonous. I heard Noah's voice echo in my head. You can die over her, or make her regret losing you. I grabbed a lighter from my desk. The flame flickered like it was breathing for me. I dropped the photos into a metal bowl and watched the edges curl, darken, and crumble. The room filled with smoke and memories. Goodbye, Lila, I whispered. I took her letters next. Each word used to mean something. I love you. You make me feel real. Don't ever leave me. Lies written in beautiful ink. The paper caught fire, glowing bright for a second before fading into ash dot for the first time in weeks. I felt lighter. I opened my laptop and hovered over her folder, Lila, before hitting delete. The files disappeared with a soft click. Then I deleted her number. Her messages. Every trace. When it was over, silence filled the room. Thick, heavy, but clean. I looked in the mirror again. Same face, same eyes, but something inside had shifted. I wasn't just the boy she broke. I was the man being rebuilt from the wreckage. Noah texted me later that night. You okay? I replied, not yet, but I will be. He sent back a thumbs up emoji. Simple, but it meant everything. I closed my eyes, breathing in the faint smell of smoke. For the first time since that night in the cafe, I was in tea drowning. I was standing. Barely, but still standing. I'll rise so high, I whispered to my reflection. Voice steadier now. She'd choke on her guilt. And in that quiet room, surrounded by ashes, I made a promise to myself. The old Ethan died tonight. The new one begins now. Noah, you really think I can pull this off? I asked, adjusting my tie in the cracked mirror of our dorm bathroom. He smirked. You already are. You just don't see it yet. I let out a slow breath. It still feels fake. Like I'm pretending to be okay? Then pretend until it's real, he said. You've been pretending to be broken long enough. Those words stuck with me. Pretend until it's real. That became my quiet mantra. The next morning, I walked into Professor Grant's office for the interview. My hands were sweating, but I didn't let him see it. He looked up from his papers. Ethan Reed, right? You applied for the research assistant position? Yes, sir, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'm passionate about behavioral economics. I think I can bring something valuable to your team. He studied me for a moment. Your grades dropped last semester. What changed? I hesitated. Life happened, but I learned from it. Grant nodded slowly. Good answer. Most people make excuses. You didn't. I exhaled the breath I'd been holding. Thank you, sir. All right, Reed, he said, standing up. Let's see if you can turn that lesson into results. Welcome aboard. Walking out of that office felt like stepping into sunlight after a long winter. That night, Noah grinned when I told him, See, knew you'd get it. Barely, I said. He grilled me about my grades. Didn't flinch, though, did you? No, I admitted. For the first time, I didn't. Weeks turned into months. My schedule became a battlefield. Lectures, research, work at the campus cafe. Sleep was a rumor, but I didn't care. The exhaustion felt better than emptiness. Every night, I'd sit in the library long after it closed, running simulations, analyzing data. Professor Grant would walk by and say, Still here? Still learning? I'd answer. Sometimes I'd catch my reflection in the window, eyes sharper, posture straighter. I didn't look like the same person anymore. Noah noticed too. You've changed, man, he said one evening while we walked back from class. Better or worse? I asked. He shrugged. Different. Stronger. You don't chase people now. I stopped chasing ghosts, I said quietly. He smiled. Good. Ghosts never stop running. That night, I deleted my old photos again, not out of pain this time, but out of peace. I didn't need reminders. The past wasn't my fuel anymore. Growth was. Professor Grant called me into his office near the end of the semester. You've made progress, Reed. Keep this up, and you'll have a future here. Thank you, I said. That means a lot. He smiled faintly. Discipline and control, rare qualities in students your age. Hold on to them. As I walked out, I realized something. He saw it too, the version of me I'd been building quietly. One late night at a time. At the cafe later, Noah raised his coffee cup. 2 new beginnings. I clinked mine against his. To never being the same again. When I looked around that night, the world didn't seem cruel anymore. It was still tough, still unfair, but I wasn't powerless. The pain that once crushed me had turned into something sharper. Focus. People began noticing. Professors nodded when I spoke. Classmates asked for my notes. Even strangers met my eyes differently. I'd stopped being the heartbroken boy in the corner now. They looked at me, they saw someone unbreakable. And for the first time, I did too. It had been 8 months since I last saw her. 8 months since I'd burned the letters, buried the past, and learned how to breathe again. I was walking across the campus courtyard after a meeting with Professor Grant when I heard it my name. Ethan. That voice. Soft, familiar, and trembling. I turned. Lila stood there holding a coffee cup like it was the only thing keeping her steady. Her once perfect hair looked messy, her eyes tired. Hey, I said, calm, almost detached. Been a while, she swallowed. You look different. I get that a lot lately. She gave a small, broken smile. You cut your hair. And you stopped smiling like you used to, I replied. The words came out sharper than I meant, but I didn't take them back. Her lips trembled. I deserved that, probably. We stood there for a few seconds, surrounded by students laughing and walking past us like time had moved on, except we hadn't. I heard about you, she said finally. Professor Grant's research team. The scholarship? You really turned your life around. Had to, I said. Falling apart wasn't getting me anywhere. She nodded, eyes darting to the ground. I wanted to reach out, but I didn't think you'd want to hear from me, you thought, right? She winced. I know. She hesitated, then whispered, Mason cheated on me. I blinked, pretending to be surprised. Did he? Yeah, she said, her voice cracking. With Clara, the same girl who helped me. With the bet. The irony hung heavy in the air. I crossed my arms. Karma works fast these days. Tears shimmered in her eyes. I'm not asking for pity. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I really am, Ethan. What I did was cruel. You didn't deserve it. No, I said quietly. I didn't. She looked up, desperate. Do you hate me? I thought about it, about the nights I couldn't sleep, the ache in my chest, the humiliation, and then about Noah's words. You can die over her, or you can make her regret losing you. I met her eyes. No, Lila, I don't hate you anymore. Her eyebrows furrowed. You don't? Hate takes effort, I said, and you're not worth that anymore. She flinched, and for a moment, guilt flickered in me, but it passed. I thought love made me strong, I continued. But it didn't. Losing you did. Her voice broke. I really did start to care, you know? It stopped being a bet. I just didn't know how to tell you. It's too late, I said. Some things only matter before they break. She looked at me like she was drowning. Can we at least talk? Maybe start over. I almost laughed. Start over. With what the ashes of who I was. She bit her lip. Ethan, please. I can't stop thinking about it. About you. I sighed, watching the wind stir the fallen leaves between us. You'll move on, Lila. Maybe not today, but someday. Just like I did. Her voice cracked. So that's it? After everything? Yeah, I said softly. That's it. She stepped closer. You really don't feel anything? I met her eyes one last time. I feel peace. Her breath hitched. I ruined the best thing I ever had. You did, I said, not unkindly. But that's your story to live with, not mine. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then I gave her a small smile. Not cruel, not bitter, just final. I hope you find peace, I said, turning away. Her whisper followed me. You already did, didn't you? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. For the first time, I walked away without breaking, and the silence behind me felt like freedom. Congratulations, Mr. Reed, Ryan said, raising his glass at the launch party. We actually did it. I smiled, clinking my drink with his. We did, from dorm room dreams to this. Hey, he laughed. Remember when we couldn't even afford coffee? Barely, I said, grinning. Now we're buying the whole cafe chain. He chuckled, then added, You've changed, man. The quiet kid from King's University doesn't exist anymore. Good, I said simply. He was too easy to break. Ryan smirked. Whatever made you this focused, I owe it a thank you. I didn't answer. Some things weren't meant to be said aloud. After the crowd left, I stood on the balcony, overlooking the city, the skyline glowing like a heartbeat. The wind carried laughter from the street below, but all I heard was my phone buzzing. Unknown number. Ethan, it's Lila. Can we meet? Just once, I need to apologize. My fingers froze. After all these years, that name still felt like an echo from another life. Ryan noticed my expression. Bad news? Old ghost, I said. Her. He guessed instantly. Yeah, exhaled. You gonna reply? I shrugged. I don't know. He leaned against the railing. You built an empire, Ethan. Don't let her drag you back into ashes. It's not about revenge anymore, I said. It's about closure, maybe. Ryan studied me for a moment. You really think closure comes from words? It doesn't. It comes from not needing them, I smiled faintly. You sound like a therapist. Or a friend who's seen you crawl through hell. We both laughed softly. The kind of laugh that comes after years of silence. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I reread her message. My reflection in the glass looked calm, older, but inside, I still felt that small tremor. The one that whispered she hurt you once. I typed a reply, paused, then deleted it. Over and over. Finally, I called Noah. Wow, Ethan Reed calling me after months, he said. What's the occasion? Lila texted. A low whistle. You're kidding, no? She wants to meet after all these years? Yeah, says she wants to apologize. Are you thinking of going? I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to see what she's become. The other part doesn't care, he sighed. Listen, man, if you go, do it for you, not for her. She's a chapter, not your story. Funny, I said. That's what you told me the night I burned her letters. I was right, he replied. You became someone better because of it. Don't hand her that victory by reopening old scars. I nodded, even though he couldn't see it. Maybe I just want to see that she remembers. She does, Noah said firmly. That's why she reached out. You don't owe her anything. After the call, I stared at the city lights, the glow reflecting on my glass desk, on the framed article about our company's success, on everything I'd built from nothing, for years. I thought revenge would feel like this being untouchable, but it didn't. It wasn't about proving her wrong anymore. It was about proving myself right. I finally sat down and wrote one line back. You already said everything you needed to. Leela, I just took longer to hear it, and I hit send. No anger, no pain, just peace. As the message delivered, I leaned back and whispered to the quiet room, success isn't revenge. It's survival with grace. And in that silence, I realized I'd stopped being the boy she broke. I'd become the man who learned how to heal. The cafe looked smaller than I remembered. Same dim lights, same old clock ticking above the counter, but everything felt different now. Lila was already there, sitting by the window. When she saw me, her eyes widened and her lips trembled. Ethan, I sat across from her without a word. "You came," she whispered. "I almost didn't," I said, but curiosity won. She nodded slowly, twisting her fingers around the coffee cup. "You look good." "I am," I said simply. "You?" A small, bitter laugh escaped her. "Trying." The silence stretched between us. I could hear the rain outside, soft, steady, merciless. Finally, she spoke again. "Ethan, I was young, stupid. I didn't know what love was. You were real, too real, and I didn't know how to handle that." I didn't reply. I just watched her, the girl who once played with my heart like a dare. Tears filled her eyes. "You have every right to hate me. I hate myself for what I did." "I don't hate you," I said. "Hate takes effort. I stopped wasting that a long time ago." She swallowed. "I never stopped thinking about you. Every time something went wrong in my life, I thought, maybe this is what I deserve." I leaned back. "That's not love, Lila. That's guilt." Her voice cracked. "No. But I still wanted you to know that I did care, eventually." "Eventually," I repeated. "That's the thing about timing, isn't it? It only matters before you break someone." She covered her face with her hands. "I'm so sorry, Ethan. I wish I could go back." I shook my head. "No, you don't. You just wish you didn't have to live with the memory." She looked up, eyes red. "Do you ever think about it? About us?" "Sometimes," I admitted. "When I remember who I used to be, you were part of that version, the one that had to die for this one to live." She winced, like my words physically hurt. "You really changed." "Pain does that," I said. "It teaches you what self-respect feels like." She tried to smile through her tears. "You sound peaceful." "I am." "Do you ever miss me?" she asked softly. I stared at her, really looked this time. The makeup couldn't hide the cracks in her expression, the regret in her eyes. "No," I said finally. "I miss who I thought you were." Tears spilled over. "You were the only person who ever saw me as more than an act." "Maybe," I said, "but you turned it into one anyway." She reached across the table. "Please, Ethan, just tell me you forgive me." I hesitated. "Forgiveness isn't a gift, Lila. It's a process. I don't carry anger anymore. That's all I have to give." Her hand dropped. "I ruined the best thing that ever happened to me." "You did," I said quietly. "And now you have to live with knowing what it could have been." She nodded slowly, wiping her tears. "You're not the same boy I hurt." "No," I said. "That boy believed love was supposed to hurt. I don't anymore." She stood, voice trembling. "I hope someday someone loves you the way you loved me." "I already do," I said. "I just learned it's supposed to start with myself." Her eyes glistened. "Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Lila." She turned and walked out, her reflection vanishing in the rain-streaked window. I sat there for a while, listening to the rain, the same sound that once drowned my heartbreak. This time, it sounded different, softer, final, and in that silence, I realized that wasn't revenge. That was karma doing its quiet work. For days after meeting Leela, her voice echoed in my head like a song I couldn't turn off. Every word replayed the tremble, the regret, the way she said my name as if it still belonged to her. I tried drowning it out with work, with late nights, with silence. None of it helped. One evening, Emily called from the kitchen. "Hey, you're spacing out again. Come eat before it gets cold." I forced a smile. "Yeah, I'm coming." She placed a plate in front of me and sat across the table. "Rough day? Just thinking," I said. "About her?" I exhaled slowly. "You always know." She shrugged. "It's in your face. You look like someone carrying ghosts." "Maybe I am," I admitted. Emily stabbed her fork into her salad. "You met her, didn't you?" "Yeah. And?" "She cried," I said quietly. "Said she was sorry. Said she never stopped thinking about me." Emily tilted her head. "And you?" I listened. "That's it? That's all there was left to do." She studied me for a long moment. "So, closure." I thought about it. "Something like that. but it didn't feel like forgiveness. It just felt finished. She smiled faintly. That's still something. For a moment, we ate in silence. Then Emily laughed at something on her phone, a meme, probably, and I found myself watching her laugh. That sound, that simple joy, pulled me out of my head. You ever notice, I said, how peace looks small until you've lived without it? She looked up. That's deep philosopher, brother. Mean it, I said, smiling. I spent years thinking peace would come from hearing her apologize, but now I get it. Peace isn't about her at all. Emily leaned back. So what's it about? Freedom, I said. Letting go without needing to rewrite the past. She raised her glass. Then here's to freedom. I clinked mine against hers. To freedom. Later that night, after she went to bed, I sat alone at the table with a pen and paper. For the first time in years, I wanted to write something not to escape, but to end. The words came easily. Lila, thank you for breaking me. You made me rebuild myself stronger. I stared at the sentence for a long time. It wasn't bitter. It wasn't sad. It just was. For a moment, I thought about sending it. Maybe she'd read it and smile. Maybe she'd finally know I wasn't hers to haunt anymore. But then I realized I didn't need her to know. I folded the paper once, twice, then tore it down the middle. The sound felt like closing a door that had been creaking open for too long. I dropped the pieces into the trash, washed my hands, and looked at my reflection in the kitchen window. I looked calm. Not proud, not angry, just free. Emily's laughter still echoed faintly from her room. And for the first time, it didn't feel like noise outside my grief. It felt like music I could belong to again. I whispered to the empty room. I forgive myself for holding on. The air didn't answer. It didn't need to, because closure isn't forgiveness. It's the quiet acceptance that some wounds never get apologies, and still, you heal anyway. I turned off the light, took one last look at the torn letter, and smiled. I didn't need to send it, I already had to myself. The lights were brighter than I expected. Hundreds of faces looked up at me, colleagues, investors, friends, waiting for me to speak. The applause faded, replaced by silence thick enough to hear my own heartbeat. I gripped the mic and smiled. You know, when I started this company, I wasn't chasing success. I was just trying to prove to myself that I could survive something that almost destroyed me. A quiet murmur rippled through the audience. I continued. I once loved someone who lied to me, and that lie, I paused, letting the words hang, became the truth that built me. A few people nodded. Others leaned forward, curious. I used to think love was supposed to save you, I said. But sometimes, it breaks you so completely that you have no choice but to rebuild from the pieces. From the front row, Ryan, my co-founder, gave me a subtle thumbs up. I smiled back. I went on. When I lost her, I thought my story ended. But it didn't. It just changed genres. Laughter echoed softly through the hall. Back then, I said, I begged for love. I mistook attention for affection, apologies for change, and silence for peace. But time taught me something powerful. You don't need closure from someone who never wanted to understand you. You only need courage to understand yourself. The audience stayed silent now, listening. Even the air felt still. I glanced down at the award in my hand, heavy, polished, engraved with my name. This, I said, lifting it slightly, isn't proof that I won. It's proof that I refuse to stay broken. Ryan chuckled quietly. Tell them about the nights you coded till sunrise, he called out. I grinned. Yeah, those were real. Coffee, deadlines, and sheer stubbornness. The crowd laughed again, but I said, my tone softening, what really kept me going wasn't ambition. It was the need to build something real, something honest, when I'd once been surrounded by lies. I took a breath. Karma doesn't always come with thunder. Sometimes it arrives as peace, as laughter, as mornings when you wake up without resentment. That's when you know you've healed. Applause broke out, warm, not wild, but genuine. I let it fade before speaking again. I don't hate her anymore, I admitted. In fact, I'm grateful. Because without that betrayal, I might never have met this version of myself. Someone near the back shouted, "That's growth." I laughed. Yeah, growth. The kind that hurts before it heals. I looked around the room. The boy who once begged for love is gone. The man standing here learned that love doesn't complete you. It reflects what you already believe you deserve. And I finally believe I deserve peace. For a moment, I let the silence return. It wasn't awkward. It was powerful. I set the mic down, letting my gaze travel across the faces before me, the team that became family, the friends who never left when I was rebuilding, and somewhere deep inside, I whispered to the version of me who once cried over a love that ended. We made it. Ryan clapped me on the shoulder as I stepped off the stage. "That was good, man," he said. "Real, thanks," I replied. It finally felt like the truth. We walked toward the exit together. Outside, the city lights shimmered against the night sky. My reflection appeared faintly on the glass doors, confident, calm, whole. For years I'd searched for meaning in what she did to me. But tonight I realized it wasn't about her at all. It was about who I became because of it. And for the first time, I met him, the real me.